Let's just jump right in because we're talking about something that affects absolutely every single one of us. You know that feeling, right? That nagging realization that you have the potential to do something incredible, but for some reason you just don't do it. Well, our days of settling for average are officially over. Today, in this explainer, we are breaking down the ultimate brain detox. We're going to look at the crazy science behind how our own brains actively sabotage us and exactly how we can flip the script to stop wasting our potential. We're going to expose those invisible mental traps and figure out how to finally get that momentum going. 5 seconds. Seriously, the psychology behind this tiny little window is just wild. When you decide you want to do something, your brain only gives you about a 5 to 10 second grace period to actually take action. If you wait any longer, it kicks in and completely talks you out of it, convincing you to stay right where you are. Just think about your morning alarm. It goes off at 6 a.m. You grab your phone and think, all right, I should get up. But if you just lie there for 5 seconds, should I get up? Maybe just a quick snooze? Boom, your brain just hijacked you. If you don't physically move in that exact tiny window, you're not getting up at all. We are literally hardwired to stay comfortable. So if you want to take your time back, you've got to beat that 5 second trap by moving instantly. And falling into that trap leads us right to this massive modern paradox. Why on earth are we so exhausted when we're doing absolutely nothing? Think about it. You haven't run a marathon, you haven't built a house with your bare hands, you probably just sat on your couch for 3 hours, and yet you feel completely wiped out, physically and mentally. I know you felt this constant mental fatigue. We all have. We sit down to relax and we somehow end up feeling more exhausted than when we were actually working. And that perfectly sets up the real modern problem of digital distraction that's secretly just draining our energy. So, what's actually happening in our heads? Well, it's literally called brain rot. And look, this isn't just internet slang anymore. It was officially recognized as the Oxford Dictionary Word of the Year. Brain rot is that intense, heavy mental fatigue you get from just mindlessly scrolling social media all day, instead of doing the work you know you need to do. Like, you aren't doing any heavy lifting, sure, but your brain is forced to process these short, rapid-fire clips and images over and over again until it is just completely fried. This exhaustion is so serious and so universal now that dictionaries are literally naming the year after it. And this exhaustion actually ties into a huge secret from the world of successful entrepreneurs. See, we usually think more information is always a good thing, right? We want to research every little detail before we start anything. But honestly, having too much information can completely paralyze you. When you map out every single step, you also start seeing every single potential point of failure. You start thinking, man, if step 1 goes wrong, the whole thing falls apart, and then you never even start. On the flip side, an incredible 90% of successful entrepreneurs admit that if they knew all the hurdles and the downsides right at the very beginning, they wouldn't have even tried. Sometimes going in blind is actually your biggest advantage. It forces you to just take action instead of overthinking the whole shebang. Getting distracted is just a totally normal human problem. But the real enemy here is what comes next. Let's talk about the distraction regret loop. I can almost guarantee every single one of you watching this explainer has lived this exact nightmare scenario. Picture this. You have a huge exam or project due tomorrow at 7 a.m. It's midnight. You sit down and tell yourself, okay, I've got 7 hours. I'm just going to chill for an hour and start at 1 a.m. Well, 1 a.m. rolls around, you blink, and suddenly it's 1:10. So you think, the hour's ruined, I'll just start fresh at 1:30. Boom, it's 2 a.m. Now the panic sets in, right? You realize you've lost 2 hours and you start stressing. By 3 a.m., you are so stressed out about losing time that you convince yourself you need a break just to quote-unquote refresh before doing a marathon sprint. Fast forward, the sun comes up, it's 7 a.m., the deadline is here, and you're just drowning in total, devastating regret. The procrastination spirals into panic, and the panic literally wastes your entire night. Because here's the absolute truth. The problem isn't actually the distraction. It's the regret that wastes the rest of your day. Think about it. When you realize you just wasted 2 hours, what do you usually do? You spend the next 2 hours beating yourself up over it. You convince yourself the whole day is totally shot. Instead of looking at it and saying, all right, I've still got half the day left to crush this, you just sit there agonizing over the time you lost. And that agonizing, that is what completely destroys whatever productivity you had left in the tank. Okay, so we see the trap now. We know our brain is working against us in that 5-second window. We know overthinking paralyzes us, and we know regret is the ultimate enemy. So how do we actually manage the distraction and stop the loop? How do we break out of this toxic cycle and actually get things done? The answer is surprisingly simple, but man, is it effective. The ultimate fix is strict deadlines. If you really want to limit your distractions, you absolutely have to tie every single task to a hard, non-negotiable deadline. You can't just wake up and say, oh, I'll work on this today. No way. You have to say, I am dedicating exactly this much time to this specific task and it ends at this exact minute. Setting a strict deadline forces that 5-second window shut and literally forces your brain to prioritize execution over sitting around being comfortable. So here is your exact step-by-step blueprint for the very next time you catch yourself slipping. Let's say you're sitting there scrolling on your phone when you know you should be working. Step 1, realize you are distracted. Just acknowledge it. The second that hits you, you move straight to step 2. Stop regretting. Instantly. Seriously, do not look back at the past hour you just wasted. It's gone. Do not let regret steal the next hour too. And then, step 3, start working immediately, right in that very second. Close the app, put the phone down, don't wait for the clock to hit a nice round number like 2 or 2:15. Start right then and there. Now, to keep this kind of discipline going over the long haul, you're going to need a little something extra. The people who consistently win year after year, they don't just rely on willpower. They win because they have blinders on. Think of a racehorse wearing those side blinders to block out all the noise and just focus on the finish line. You have to build your own blinders. But, how do you actually build blinders in a world that's literally designed to send you a notification every 10 seconds?
You do it by ruthlessly curating your environment. Your environment is what actually forces you to focus every single day. Think about it. Are the books you're reading helping you grow? What kind of podcasts are you listening to on your commute? Are the people you surround yourself with pushing you to level up? Are the places you go and the content you consume actually serving your long-term goals? If your environment is just packed with gossip, negativity, and mindless entertainment, well, you don't really have blinders on. You basically have a magnifying glass pointed straight at your distractions.
So I want to ask you a really tough question right now. Look at your daily routine. The reading, the working, the conversations, the media you scroll through. How many of those things are actively moving you even just 1% closer to your dream goals? Highly focused winners deliberately surround themselves with 5 or more positive environmental factors every single day. And the average person? 0. When you ask the average person how many things in their day actually help them build the life they want, the answer is usually nothing. If you truly want to stop wasting your potential, you've got to shift your daily environment from 0 positive factors up to at least 5. Because ultimately, this whole thing is about instant clarity, finding your focus, and finally living up to that maximum potential we all know we have inside us. We don't have to just sit back and accept a distracted life where our brains constantly trick us into being lazy. By understanding that 5-second rule, by forgiving ourselves instantly so we don't fall into the regret loop, by setting those strict deadlines, and by putting our blinders on, we can unlock a level of focus that literally changes everything about how we operate. So here's the deal. Your 5-second window is opening right now. Are you going to let your brain convince you to stay comfortable, open another tab, and just keep mindlessly scrolling? Or are you ready to beat the trap, put your phone away, and start working on your first strict deadline right this very second? The choice is entirely up to you. Start immediately, don't look back, and I will catch you in the next explainer.